From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 3rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,138 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $241. Antiwar.com reports the Monday loss of the major northern Afghan city of Kunduz was one of the biggest losses in years in the ongoing war, and while on Thursday officials were claiming they'd retaken the city already, the reality is that the Taliban still holds most of the city heading into the weekend. In the grand scheme of things, Afghan officials are trying to downplay the situation and insisting that they were able to hold their own in fighting against the Taliban, even if they did not always win. But locally, the question is still how they lost to the Taliban despite outnumbering them. Afghan police and soldiers both have opinions on this matter. As is often the case in the wake of a military defeat, everyone is trying to shift responsibility. Afghan soldiers insist the police were cowards who surrendered quickly, while police maintain that the Afghan troops, despite having much better weaponry and more training, were soft and hid in their base for most of the fight. This effort to shift blame goes all the way up the chain of command, with higher-ranking officials blaming the lack of reinforcements or the lack of additional weapons shipments for the losses, but the reality is that no one seemed to believe Kunduz could be lost until the moment that it was. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports Education Secretary Arne Duncan plans to step down in December from the post he has held for 7 years. Duncan, a member of President Barack Obama's original cabinet, told the White House on Friday he will be returning to Chicago to be closer to his family. He will be replaced by John B. King, Jr., a former New York State Commissioner and recently appointed Deputy Secretary at the department. Duncan has clashed with teachers' unions, parents, and Congress during the time in office over issues that include testing and school privatization. Duncan's wife, Karen, and his 2 children recently moved back to Chicago, where they lived before he took the post. When the family moved in July, Duncan's spokeswoman said he intended to commute to Chicago on weekends. Duncan's spokeswoman, Dory Nolt, said Secretary Duncan remains committed to his work in the cabinet and will continue to serve at the pleasure of the president. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a U.S. district judge on Friday ordered Arkansas to continue payments to Planned Parenthood for its treatment of 3 women who challenged Governor Asa Hutchinson's directive cutting off Medicaid reimbursements to the organization. The order applied only to the case of the 3 plaintiffs, although the judge did suggest that Planned Parenthood as an organization might be able to successfully challenge the cutoff. Judge Christine Baker held that the 3 women, identified in court papers as Jane Does, had demonstrated that they would incur irreparable harm should they not be able to access contraceptive care and other services through Planned Parenthood. The preliminary injunction issued by the judge on Friday follows a temporary restraining order she put in place 2 weeks ago. Hutchinson, a Republican, said in a statement that the ruling was limited to the 3 women and that he would direct the state health department to prohibit funding to Planned Parenthood consistent with the court's ruling. Planned Parenthood gets about $500 million annually in federal funds, largely in reimbursements under Medicaid, the government's healthcare program for the poor. In Arkansas, reaction from social conservatives to the judge's move was swift. Planned Parenthood said almost all of its work in the state covered services other than abortions. A spokesman for the state attorney general said no decision had been made regarding an appeal of the ruling. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.